How are you?
Oh, thank you for allowing us to say it.
Oh, yeah.
From my feet to you, thank you.
The lower back.
Yeah, yoga.
I'm not 50 anymore.
So you're on the show a lot, so
That's true. Oh, so did you get to
first 4.
Oh,
I
wow.
saw the first one. I saw the pilot.
the pilot?
Oh,
So you saw
fun.
4.
Yeah.
So you've got like you've got a
You've got
leg up.
intel.
I'm like, when is it going to air in the Netherlands? Because now I'm stuck on the twist.
Wow.
Good.
All right.
All right.
So I guess the obvious question to start with is, what was it like to get back into these characters and get back together for the show?
For me, and I can, it was a little bit of a dream. Michael and I sort of conjured this up, and we manifested this years ago, and we talked about it with various people, important people, on Paramount and CBS, and. So when it came together and it was a green light, we just, first of all, we couldn't believe it, but then we had worked so hard and we had talked about it that we felt like somehow, somewhere in there, like we had been heard. And we got a chance to really give back to the fans that have been so loyal for so many years. And we've gotten a lot of love from them when we travel and when we, go about our lives in different parts of the United States or anywhere we go to. And so we just wanted to get all of those questions answered. Where are they? How are they? How are they living? Are they together? Do they have a child? Do they live together with a child? And so we got a chance to give back a little bit, which was really neat. So it was kind of magical. Working with this guy also was great.
You guys teased from the panel that the two characters are not together. When did that decision come in the progress of making this series, and why did you guys decide that we're not going to put them together?
Right. Well, so it's interesting.
Well,
if you've
or
seen,
so you think.
Right. And so I think that the 4 episodes reveal the style of storytelling. So there are many episodes of NCIS, the Mothership, some of them written by our friend Jesse Stern and others, where it's told in a non-linear fashion, and you're brought through time, and then you go back, as SpongeBob SquarePants would say, like a few moments later, and then it kind of goes on this time loop, and so there's a device used within the story to tell you where and when you are, which is always funny because setting seems like that's what it is, but it's really telling you where and when they are. And so sometimes it's closer, and sometimes it's farther away, and sometimes the farther away is better. And because we're making it work, and we're good co-parents, and it's like, and then of course, so that happens, and I think that's part of the really super interesting part of the journey outside of the venue, which is Europe, and the storytelling, which is extraordinary from John McNamara, and this incredible cast of guest stars and characters that are series regulars. And you just never know what's happening completely, because the trust issues that Tony and Ziva have is also reflected in the trust issues the audience will have watching the show, because you'll start relying on some narrative to be true, and then suddenly it's an illusion. And so it's you the only characters you can trust, just like Tony and Ziva, start to become Tony and Ziva, and all these other people enter the frame. It's so much more than I even thought about what we were going to explore in our initial conjuring of this 10 years ago, 7 years ago. We went out in 2017 with Michelle McLaren.
Oh, yes.
At a place in New York City called Mamo. We had a very late dinner, very expensive late dinner, where they needed wheelchairs, I think, to take us away. We ate so much dessert at some point. But it was, Bull got fat during that particular period of time. But it was, we were talking about how Ziva was tortured, and how we could show what her years in captivity were like, and what that and it's so funny because we created a whole world then, which is now 8 years ago.
Which is crazy because when so much of that actually ended up in the scripts, being a part of the thing, you kind of it had happened. Like we had
it's
sort
a
of called
show
it forth.
the universe made, and we sort of served it, right?
Yes.
Like anytime,
it was bigger than us.
Yeah, you run into a fan in a supermarket or an airport or wherever, on the street, and they're like, "Oh my God, like how old is Tolly now?" And you're like, "It's not a real person. That's not a real person."
You know what? I think that's a really good point. I think so many people really wanted to see the conclusion, or certainly what happened to these characters, that want became a reality. And so I think this show, in many ways, was pushed by that need to get answers. And we were very much a part of that too, because Michael and I are not only, we're collaborators, and we're, both actors, and we love the world of acting, and we love everything that implies, but we love playing together. First of all, we love talking, so we get great joy out of being in the same kind of frequency. But then to be able to sort of explore these characters again, and be able to play with a script, to be able to go back to doing the very thing that we loved doing back in the day, is just a gift, And so many people don't get it. And back when TV was TV and there was that big separation between TV and the movie world, I used to always say, yeah, but a lot of the people that are doing movies have no idea what it's like to love a character so much. And have the luxury, the great big luxury of time to explore the life and complexities of whatever's going on with these characters, So we lived it, we had that, and now we have this incredible opportunity to do it again.
It's kind of like rep theater, which I've never done, but my understanding.
It's kind of like it. I've never done it.
But the idea that you're doing a series of plays, and you're traveling with these plays, and then as you age, you're playing different characters in the same play, this play that you know inside out. And with every audience, it's a different version of that play. And so it's the same thing the guy wrote, or the gal wrote, but it's like a totally new experience. People understand different things. I often think that, like, the way you look at early episodes of The Mothership of NCIS from 2003 to probably 2007 or 8, there's probably some, and I know that the cast of Friends has talked about this, and other people, How I Met Your Mother, and there's some deeply, like, what we now think of as like, oh my God, it's like watching I Love Lucy, and you're like, was the world like this? But it is how we change, and we have to be able to at least look back and recognize, okay, he's grown, or they've changed, or, well, that was, Grandpa says crazy shit. Like, well, I don't know. Is Grandpa racist? Well, in Grandpa's time, and
it wasn't bad.
Right, and that's kind of the crazy part about what we got to do, is you're looking at these characters, and it's like Parallax View. It's this brand new, like, quantum understanding through this NCIS, the acronym. We, in the first episode, discovered that it's
got nothing to do with the agency.
It's used in a different way, and it was the original title
name
for the show when we pitched it. Was not NCIS Tony and Ziva. It was what NCIS comes to stand for in the first.
It's sort of like a little bit of an inside joke,
Right.
But it's not quite a joke.
And then
it's a spin.
We used to, like, if there was somebody swung around in a boom pole, hit one of the actors in the head, we go, NCIS, no crew is safe.
Yeah.
And then, remember we would always do, like,
of course,
no crafty. I remember there was something about the craft service. We would always come up with other acronyms. I'm going to stop.
Not you.
You mentioned about filming in Europe. I want to get from you guys, what was that like, instead of filming here, but going to Europe, going to Budapest and filming there, a good portion of the story? What was it like
Well, it was like a quintessential character of the story because so much of the story, for example, they had this whole connection with Paris, Tony and Ziva. So we knew that it had to sort of be in Europe, and then it was like, oh, it's going to be Paris. So it takes place in Paris and in Italy, and then we go to a couple of other countries, but it shoots in Budapest, and the reason why was because Budapest actually serves as a great backdrop that could be a lot of different countries. We have the countryside, which was beautiful, and then you have these wonderful little cobblestone streets, and you could literally be in Paris, and then you just have to sort of change things around in the storefronts, and then so it was a great stage for us to sort of play. Also, the people were fantastic. We had a fabulous crew, and they've had a working industry there for a long time. Not that, by the way, we had any say on where it was going to shoot. We were just told it's going to be Budapest.
Originally it was France, but the Summer Olympics were being taking
and so
place.
that became
so
a
when we started
tough.
to board and think about it, it was immediately off the table because imagine trying to do this show during the Olympics. Would have been funny, but not funny to the people paying for it.
But it's small enough that it doesn't feel like massive, It's a beautiful, beautiful city. It's got his own little thing that's very romantic, and so it was a great backdrop for us. And it is a quintessential part of the story. It's its own character in a way.
And being on the run, you get to go through. There's different borders. There's different. It's like in the USA. There are, there's 1,000 different, sort of places and neighborhoods and language that gets spoken with different accents. But in Europe, you're actually going to a different country. And even though it's part of the European Union for the most part, you are experiencing a culture that's been there. It's a funny story that I'll try to make as concise as possible, but it's as Americans, we sort of go into a place and think like that we have all this technology and we have all this infrastructure and we have this education and this medical and then you're in a country like Hungary, which the Ottoman Empire was like that ago, and the sense of history, the sense that Europe has of its own place in time, in the wheel of time. I'm super humbled by that when I get over there, and I think that particularly at one point I noticed that I was the only American character, really like actor, on the set. And even though you became an American citizen, yes. But NCIS, the mothership, was so American. It was like Americana. You got Mark Harmon throwing footballs and and even though David McCallum is the man from U.N.C.L.E. and that thing, it felt like a certain kind of time and place. This feels very without trying too hard, or without it feeling like somebody was spoon feeding, well, we got to tick that box, and we got to tick. Everything's very organic on the show, but it just so happens that there's this multiplicity of personalities and
nationalities and
and I just don't think you get that shooting in Atlanta for us.
I feel like we were very lucky. Also, the whole casting process. We got to be a little bit a part of it. Not that we obviously were in it from the beginning.
You tried to recast me. I remember that part.
We did never do that.
It was pretty fierce going for a time there. But I made it. I stuck through.
The crap that goes on.
Sean Patrick Flannery was very close to making it come back.
Yep.
Sorry, I can't help myself.
I can't help it.
Guys, being from Europe, this show has also been going on in the Netherlands, in the country, for 20 years. I would watch it with my parents. What do you think is the enduring success with NCIS, also in the international markets now, moving it to Europe. What is the key to its success?
Well, I think the original, The Mothership, had the elements of family that I think people just couldn't get enough of. You know, it lived within a formula that worked. You know, you had a crime, then you solved the crime, and at the end everyone would, then the next day another crime would happen. You know what I mean? So it was always about the crime and solving the crime. Within that story, you had all of these other storylines, you know, relationship stories, sibling stories, and you got to fall in love with these characters because they lived within this frame, the structure, right? That served the characters very well. You got to meet the characters slowly because they got to unfold slowly because you still had to address the crime and you had to solve the crime and all that stuff. What we were intrigued by was the possibility of taking these characters and have them live outside of a formula, right? We wanted to take them out of the agency. We didn't want to have anything to do with the agency, and we wanted Tony and Ziva to really live out whatever was going on with them, whether it was complex feelings, unresolved feelings, definitely co-parenting, you know. And then, of course, we had to throw the elements of drama, right? So we had to throw all of the plot in it, which is, what are they doing? What are they running away from? Who are they trying to protect? And it became very evident the most important thing was the daughter. So we created this world that's really about a family trying to protect each other. And, they're thrown into these kind of impossible situations, and they have to trust each other and work together.
Yeah, it felt like, I remember saying this to you, that it felt, we were shooting a particular episode with a certain scene, and I went, oh, it's a fairy tale. It's almost like you could start it with Once Upon a Time.
Yes.
And so it's not a procedural drama in the sense that there's a dead body and we get some clues and we get them to Abby, and the mass spectrometer tells us that we need to go down to Ducky and talk to him about the thing found in the lung and the larynx. So instead, there's sort of this family, but you know, they get thrown into an impossible situation, and the daughter is offered, remember that scene where she's offered something and Ziva has a response? There's all this kind of very deep, the way fairy tales evoke in you this kind of protective
primal
sense of, and it feels to me like it's more of a fairy tale. The baddie is like really
I think what you mean by fairy tale, and forgive me because you've used that word and I love it, but I also
like
think
a
that
Grimm's fairy tale.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of an epic love story. You know, it's just about two people that for some reason couldn't make it work. Maybe they're not making it work, but somehow they still kind of feel this thing.
Maybe
you know?
if I fall into a coma and you wake me up with love's true kiss.
But
Could it be,
so
let me try.
what are you trying to get? But yeah, so I think it's a little bit of that. It's you're going to see these people sort of have different feelings at different times too, and how that's dealt with is to be continued, and you'll just have to kind of watch it unfold. But that's the part that we really liked. You know, it's a long answer to a very nice question.
That's gonna be how we're gonna have to end. Thank you guys so much.
Michael and I, we like to talk.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.